Hey, YouTubers, this is Romero. I wanted to talk to you guys about a subject that's pretty much near and dear to my heart. Um, I watched a documentary on YouTube, I think like maybe like 2, 3 weeks ago. It was about education and the state of education. Now, because I've gone to the university and did that whole, the whole education thing, BA, and all of that stuff. It talked about uh, how education is basically one of the biggest ripoffs out there. I actually thought about it. I listened to the information presented, and I actually do agree with them to a certain extent. And I'll explain, the reason why I believe that they have some truth to what they're saying. Okay, you take a person, let's say your education costs you uh, $10,000 a year. As just for your classes, your enrollment fees. It's not including your books, your housing, gas, transportation, the normal things that you have to take care of. If you have cable and internet, which you're probably going to need, a cell phone, you're going to need clothes, uh, toiletries, things of that nature. Okay, so when we talk about that 10,000, let's say if you're at a cheap university, that's really cheap. Everybody who's watching this will know that it's like super cheap, uber cheap university. I'm just giving you the cheapest one that I could think of. Of course, mine was like 28 without all of that stuff. So, anyway, so you go, now you've added on all of your extra costs. You end around, I want to say, you end around $20,000 a year, okay? Or more. So now you've wasted at the end of a 4-year university session. If you go through and you pass all of your courses, you have to retake no classes, which most people end up having to retake classes because let's just face it, some classes are more difficult than others. So it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Okay, so let's say you do perfect and you graduate, on time and okay. So let's say it's 4 years, and we're gonna multiply that times $20,000. So now you are $80,000 in debt, more than likely, or at a loss of $80,000. Regardless of what you say, people can say, "Well, oh, my parents saved for my college fund, and so I'm okay, and I just paid for it out of that, or I got a scholarship." If you got a scholarship, that's pretty much the only way that your college was absolutely 100% uh, free for you to not have to come out of pocket. But then we're not talking about the loss of wages that you would have accumulated from you having to do that. Okay, let's say you're an everyday person. You don't come from a well-to-do family. You didn't have a family that was able to save the money, so you have to loan. Okay, so now you're gonna have an $80,000 loan. On top of that, when you get out of school, you have to find a job within, I think it's like the first year, and within that first year you have to um, be making about, let's see, you're gonna have to make at least like $600 extra on top of that so that you're able to pay for your student loans. So that would be about, out of everything you're going to probably need to be making reasonably to be able to afford your life, about 3 grand a month. So if you do that, you know, 3 times 12, that you would end up with about, what is that, $3,600? I believe so. So that's what you need to be making on your first year getting out of school in order, well, and see then too, that's actually not going to be enough because that's like, you have to be making that um, with uh, with the taxes taken out. So let's say around like You need to make around like 40, 42 and up a year, which most people don't end up making. Honest, to tell you the truth, they don't end up making that within the first year. It usually takes them. Everybody I know, it's been like 3 years, and then maybe within a 2 to 3 year span, they might land their first official job, or between a 3 and 5 year span of being in another career, they land their ideal job. So it does happen. It's just that, it's a delayed response. And then they don't end up making that much. They end up making around 30,000 or to 35 if they're lucky. So, I mean, we have a big dilemma that is going on in this country right now, and it's dealing with the education side. Personally, I do agree with this documentary that I saw, that education is the biggest ripoff. So you have all that stuff happen. Well, if you have to pay $600 a month to someone, and then you have to still be able to afford your life. See, I based it off of $3,000 a month. So, and you're a single person, you should be able to still kind of live, but things will be tight. Now, that's tight money, okay? That's not even, living a lavish life making 50 grand, which most people don't when they first get out of school. It's usually a while before they get to a $50,000 marker. Now, imagine if that same person had gone to school, not gone to school, and spent the 4 years just working and saving their money. Well, if they lived at home with their parents, they didn't spend money that was unnecessary. They bought a little used clunker. Let's say they spent $1,000 to $2,000 on their used clunker. Okay, they made the average job just starting out. You can make like 18 to 20 to $25,000 a year without an education easily. You could do it, or you can work two jobs, and that would get you at about $32,000, which you could do easily as well. You get around 30 with two jobs, right? So you take $20,000 of that money and you save it, okay? Which is even feasible. It's feasible even if you only save $10,000 each year. So let's say you save $20,000 for those 4 years. Now, when that person's gotten out, you will have amassed $80,000. You're still able to spend $10,000 however you want it each year, just on stupid foolishness. Okay? So now you turn around. Now they're out of school, so they have to find a job and they have to pay back this amassed amount of debt. Now it's going to take them at least an additional 10 to 20 years. So if you imagine the money that you would have made or amassed saving and that time and just working straight through, and not considering the fact that you actually have on the job experience. So your pay is actually going to be going up because you've invested the energy and the time into the job where you're at. So you do that, you save your money, and you're better off, far better off than a person who went to a university setting. But they don't teach you this just because they want to get your money. They want you to think that there is a loophole and there's an easy way to everything, and there's not. There's not a loophole. There's no easy way. It's really sad because I feel like it's one of the biggest ripoffs, and I know that I got hit with the broomstick. I just wonder how many other people it's going to take before this system is going to pretty much implode on itself, because I mean it can only support so many people. I mean, look how many little universities you have just along the ECPIs out here. And people are paying all this money, they're going to school, and the government is just giving out money. They're just giving out money without, just the same way they did with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're giving out money to kids who are majoring in things that have no economic value whatsoever. And they're amassing great amounts of debt. To do what? To become the best wood craftsman, to like whittle wood. I mean, there's people out there that are studying that. You know, they're studying to whittle wood, you know, and that's not something that every person who studies it is going to become an amazing wood whittler. You know, it just doesn't happen. It's not something that's feasible economically. But this is the type of things that we're dealing with. So I would like to ask everybody if you could please comment, and make maybe your free videos or whatever about this situation, because I feel like, we as, the future, we need to begin a discussion about this issue, which is serious. I really feel like it's highway robbery. I feel like they're giving you a piece of paper for something that is um, not something that's feasible to, for society. I feel like they should have, the counselors should be held accountable to the students. The students should be. I mean, most students don't know anything, and really, unless they have some kind of parental guidance. This is why parents, a lot of people don't have a parent that will, or can, or even knows to tell you what to major in. They just want their kids to have an education. It's like, hey, have an education, have a chance to a better life than I had. But they're not thinking about, you know, what are you going to do when you graduate? How are you going to make money? Is that something that is, needed in this area? I mean, that's the type of information we're talking about. That it should be so engraved, and the counselor should be the one that is telling the kids, listen, no, that's not going to be something that you're going to be studying because you won't be able to make money. But it unfortunately, we all have this, right to decide whatever we want. And I mean, I can understand that. I'm not saying that everybody has to follow, my plan or live to my expectations. But I'm saying I just feel like, that I would not like people to fall in the same situation that I did, where nobody was informed about it and no one really talked about it. None of my counselors ever asked me anything or even told me about anything. They never asked me, well, hey, you know, um, when they asked me what I was going to school for, I told them. They never asked me anything like, hey, have you looked at statistics on this career? Let me show you what jobs they're looking for in your area, where they're looking, job postings are. How hard or difficult is it to get into this career? Or how easy? Do I even need to go to the university to do this? That's another thing I think it should be presented, because a large majority of the things that people are going to university for, that when they can just go get a job, work on the job for 3 4 years, intern, and be halfway there. A large majority, like prime example, like I see people going uh, to the university for what is it, sports medicine stuff. Really, if your whole thing is to train people, be a personal trainer, just go get a ACE license and start your criteria. Show people that you're motivated, that you know things about nutrition, learn nutrition, study nutrition, get a certificate in nutrition, and then go and make it happen. It's better than paying $80,000. Oh well, you're gonna work with people that are professional basketball players. Let's say, what is the likelihood of that happening? I think that's the thing that we have to talk about, or the counselors need to be talking about. But like I said, I'm going to cut it off now because I'll get long-winded about this because I'm really passionate about it. But please comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you very much.